Okay, well, we'll just stand. You can stand back here with us. Okay, everyone, come on in.
The centers are. I just followed the person.
Yeah, where's Peter's guest? Where'd she go? Our maple syrup, Allison. Huh? Okay, good. Okay, great. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for coming. As you can see, I want to mention the senators that are here. Our leader, Senator Schumer, is with us. Thank you. And Senator Blumenthal is with us, as well as Senator Ben Ray Lujan. Senator Merkley's here. Senator Kim. We've got, not you, you're a Minnesota farmer. Senator Cantwell is with us, and Senator Bennett. We've got Senator Welch, and of course, Senator Kane. Senator Warner is here, right over here, doing so much. Our Virginia and Maryland senators are really hit by this hard, their constituents. And I wanted to tell you just 3 things, and then we are going to let our guests speak. And that is that the State of the Union is chaos is up, corruption is up, and costs are up. And this is affecting people, real people. Not just people in this building. And we think it's time for people in this building to listen to the people out there that are getting hit by the Trump administration decisions. So for a change, we're not speaking, we're letting our constituents speak, and with that, they are the ones living this. I'm going to turn it over to Senator Welch's guest, Allison Hope.
Thank you for having me. I'm Allison Hope with the Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association. Vermont makes about 51% of the U.S. production of pure maple syrup, and we have Canadian partners across the border. The Quebec Federation and Canada makes about 77% of the U.S.'s maple syrup, and the United States makes about 23%. In the past 20 years, Vermont's production rates have grown 500%. And a 25% Canadian tariff on maple equipment, most of which comes across the border because that's where most maple syrup is made, on the Canadian imports that come into Vermont will have a staggering effect on Vermont's producers, who not only are agricultural farmers, but they are foresters, and so they keep a large swath of Vermont forested. I think that our Canadian counterparts are a huge part of our trade. The U.S. can't supply all of the maple syrup for retail in the United States, and so we bring into Vermont and other areas of the U.S. Canadian bulk syrup. When that price goes up, it affects the shelf price at retail, and those larger contracts for blended Vermont, U.S., and Canadian maple syrup, those contracts change for cents on the dollar. And so the end result of that will be a potential stagnation of production in Vermont, and also a loss of potential shelf space at a time when it's really hard and really expensive to get it back.
Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar and the others, senators and the staff for bringing attention to this. Gary Werdish, I'm president of Minnesota Farmers Union. I farmed all my life, and I now assist my son in his farming operation. It's kind of how I grew up on a family farm, helping my father, and then now I'm helping my son. I think it's kind of a dream of all farmers to be able to do that. Right now, the margins in farming, there's a lot of uncertainty. Right now, the margins are not very good due to high input prices and low commodity prices. President Trump, when in his first term, he had the tariff war that he started back then in 2018. And that time, it hit primarily against China, which is a large soybean buyer of the United States. We have not recovered from that, and we never will. That incentivized Argentine and Brazilian farmers to raise more soybeans. Them acres are not going to lay idle. If some of those acres came out of the rainforest, that creates more problems for us as far as the climate as we go into the future. It's frustrating to hear it again, putting on the tariff trade wars again. The last night the president made the comment about putting the tariffs on, and the farmers be prepared to sell more domestically. In the United States, we're lucky in Minnesota, we're lucky we have productive farmland. We have good farmers. We have good livestock operations. We raise more than we can consume. domestically. President says we're going to sell more domestically. Who are we going to sell it to? The buyers are not there. That's, we're facing so much uncertainty now. The farmers have to deal with weather. Weather, that's always a big uncertainty. We don't need the uncertainty from our United States government throwing this on another thing on our plate. It's also destroying our relationship on trading partners around the globe. It's not only this time, it's Canada, Mexico, and China. He's talking about the EU and retaliatory tariffs. The other countries are already going to put them on. We knew that. Where does this stop? If we go tit for tat, how much more damage is going to be done? President, he followed his tweet the other night with farmers have fun. This is a farmer's livelihood. This is not a game.
Thanks, Gary. Alyssa. Senator Schumer's guest.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. Give me a second to pull this up on my phone real quick. I joined the Army in April of 2001 when I was 17, between my junior and senior year of high school. Shortly after returning from basic training and entering my senior year, September 11th happened. Boy, was I filled with such pride to serve this country. I was immediately mobilized after graduation and deployed to Afghanistan in January of 2003. I returned in June of 2004. I became a government contractor with Halliburton, and I continued my service in Afghanistan until 2008, working in aviation operations. That's when I decided to return home to New York to start a family and get a college degree. I graduated magna cum laude from Niagara University, and I began working in schools in 2013. In 2017, I became very ill. I was too sick to work. In late 2018, I was diagnosed with a very rare adrenal cancer, probably caused by burn pits and toxic exposure. Finding out I was permanently and totally disabled was very depressing for me. I have always worked since I was 14. I always knew that I wanted to go back to work. I took several years to treat my cancer and regain some of my health. In December of 2023, I applied to work at the VA Education Department as a file clerk. In January of this year, my production was 200%, and my quality evaluations were 100%. I worked until this last Tuesday, when my boss and myself were not even notified about my layoff. I was just locked out of my computer. I gave up my Social Security disability payment to return to work for less than $500 a month. My story is not unique. Many disabled veterans are newly hired by the VA. I'm here to ask people to support disabled veterans working in the federal government. Federal jobs are some of the few that will accommodate our disabilities. We need these jobs for purpose. We need them to connect with our battle buddies and to support veterans as they get the benefits that they so justly deserve. In my opinion, supporting veterans should not be a political issue. Every American who enjoys the freedom and is thankful to veterans for their sacrifices should be in support of their employment. I am asking for the dignity of employment and accommodations for the disabilities caused by our service. Thank you.
Great job. Now we have Emma and Mrs. Larson. Emma, want to come over? Mr. Larson? You can stand with Mom.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here just to put a face and a story behind NIH funding and how it's helped Emma tremendously. At a year and a half, she was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. It's the #1 genetic cause of death in infants. At the time of her diagnosis, there was no treatment, no cure, there was nothing. There was nothing that we can do at the time. About a few weeks later, through mutual friends, we found out that a scientist, Dr. Craner, was working on a drug for this specific disease. We went to go see him. He spoke about it. For the first time, there was hope. NIH funding helped Cold Spring Harbor It helps fund the trials. At 2 years old, she was in the trial for Spinraza. That was the drug that was Cold Spring Harbor was working on. In 2016, it was the first treatment for SMA. In 2018, New York added it to the newborn screening. It's now, I believe, all 52 states now test for it. When babies get this medication right away, pre-symptomatic, it totally changes the course of SMA. It was a breakthrough drug. These kids now are breathing on their own, walking on their own. And I know it's a little bittersweet for her because she was a little late to it. But I always tell her that she was a part of something special. So we're just here just to put a face and how important NIH funding is, how it's helped her, how anything extra that we can do for her for studying, for research, for development is imperative. We understand that, some spending has to give somewhere, but when you have a result, especially something like this, a miracle drug that's actually saving lives, that's something to reconsider, that maybe it is important enough to keep that funding going. Thank you.
Great job, Mrs. Larson. You did great.
You did it.
Okay, you can go back over
I
there.
think Katie is next with Senator Lupon. You want to both come up here? Thank you, and thank you for that beautiful story.
Hello, my name is Katie Anderson. I work with Roadrunner Food Bank in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and have the incredible pleasure of getting to serve the state of New Mexico in many ways. We have a number of concerns about what has been happening. Federal funding freeze in particular caused a lot of chaos for partners. We work with over 500 partners across the state that get food into the hands of people everywhere in every corner of our state. And there was much confusion about that, a lot of concerns from some of those programs that they were not going to be able to continue to function and serve their community. We also had a lot of people calling in concerns with, were they going to continue to receive SNAP benefits? What did that look like? And the reality is that the budget reconciliations that are on the table right now are going to have a massive and horrific effect on New Mexicans as well as Americans. The whole entire country will feel that. Up to 400,000 New Mexicans could be impacted by the changes in SNAP benefits. Right now, people get roughly $6 a day in SNAP benefits, and that's the upper limit. If we're talking about rolling that back, what does that mean? What does that mean for the hundreds of thousands of children and seniors in New Mexico and the millions across the country? So we are here to speak up on behalf of people who are hungry, not only in New Mexico, but across the entire United States. People in our country deserve to be able to thrive, and they deserve to be able to raise their families without concern about where they're going to get their next meal. Thank you for having us today.
Dr. Lang and Senator Cantwell.
Thank you. I'm a cancer surgeon and researcher, and I'm here to plead against the proposal to cut indirect costs from the average of 50% to 15%. That's the money that or funds that the institutions that house all these researchers pay for all the various infrastructure. And make no mistake about it, it will drastically halt, if not halt, the amazing medical research that is being conducted, and will greatly dissuade these young people who, MDs, PhDs, MD, PhDs, who forgo wealth and fame and go there for discovery and to help human flourishing. We'll use a whole generation of researchers. And it would be unfortunate now because we're standing, because of the Human Genome Project and CRISPR and many other things, at the hallmark of a cornucopia of unbelievable amounts of things that will be coming in terms of medical advances. Yes, maybe we need to make some cuts, but I would plead that we do it with a surgeon's scalpel and not a sledgehammer. Make no mistake about it. the advances in medical research and in therapies for humans will continue. We are the envy of the world in terms of biomedical research. We won't be if this kind of thing happens. The research will continue, but we'll be taking a back seat. So I'm pleading that we think carefully about this tree of unbelievable research. Yes, prune the branches, but don't take a chainsaw and cut down the whole tree. It's very hard to grow back. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Ashley and Senator Warner.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys today? Can you tell what I used to do, which was interpretation, right? I like talking to people. My name is, thank you, Senator Warner. Can you hear me? Everybody good? Okay.
Don't worry about
May I?
that.
Okay.
There you go.
So I was squatting.
Don't worry about it. There you go.
Okay. Thank you so much for letting me tell a little bit of my story. As I said, my name is Ashley Renali. I am from, where I reside, my community, my home is in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I was one of the 1,000 National Park Rangers that were fired during February 14th, that purge. I am not unique in terms of being a wonderful human being that was dedicated right to this park. Formerly, for 15 years, I was a teacher. I worked 2 jobs. I decided I really wanted to pursue National Park Service full time, and then I got it. And it was like winning the lotto. These positions are very, very rare and hard to get into. I had made it. I made my dream. This happened to me, and it was taken from me. I had exemplary reviews from my direct supervisors. My service with the federal government, my evaluations have all been so excellent. The same with my colleagues. I wanted to show my hat because they are with me today. These are 3 other people that used to work at Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania. They weren't fired from there, but we know each other. So just in my own personal circle, I know 3 people, Helen Dew, Avery Lentz, Maddie Hollis, who can't be here today, but they are with me in spirit. Thank you very, very much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you about my beautiful city, which is also being deeply affected by the cut to the economy. Our park is the reason why there is a built-up downtown in Fredericksburg. It brings in tourism dollars. I have walked around, canvassed all of the little stores in the area. Their business has been cut in half. It does not just affect me, my friends, the 1,000 other park rangers. It affects my community. I am a it's a magical place. Y'all should go. I am a Fredericksburg person through and through. That is my home. I love it so, so much. I am so grateful, Senator Warner, who has immediately been an extremely kind human being and reached out to me and made me feel like a person. These 1,000 other people don't have voices right now. I am somebody because Warner reached out and made me a person. We are all people, National Park Service workers, have dreams to have these jobs. It's a labor of love. I know I'm talking too much. Thank you. An interpreter. Thank you so much for letting me talk. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin.
Here we are, and Senator Kim.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm one of the 1 in 4 Americans that identify with some form of developmental disability. Cutting the Medicaid program will hurt billions and billions of lives. Supporting people with disabilities supports America. It is that simple. As we grow, so does America. Caregiving is not pink-collar work. It is American work. As we can thrive with the right supports, we can have jobs. We can live in the community. If we want to save money, keep people with disabilities in their homes, in their communities, It's cheaper to raise a son or daughter in the community than in an institutional setting. It's that simple. Save money by saving Medicaid and investing in the American people. Patrick Henry once said, "Give me liberty or give me death." We are facing a life and death situation. If you cut Medicaid, people will die. It's that simple. Do we choose life or do we choose death?
Great job, Kevin.
Isabella and Senator Merkley.
Good afternoon. My name is Isabella Isakson. I am an Olympian, an Army veteran, and until recently, an officer for the Ochoco National Forest in Oregon. I have dedicated my life to serving this country and what we stand for, liberty and justice. That's the country I signed up to represent as an Olympic athlete, to protect as a soldier, and to serve as a U.S. Forest Service officer. Like the thousands of other federal workers, I was recently fired from my position due to an alleged failure to perform and a determination that my continued service was not in the public's interest. From May to October of 2024, I worked all but 2 days during one of the nation's most intense fire seasons. I sacrificed sleep, personal time, and holidays to ensure the public had timely, accurate, and life-saving information. I poured everything I had into my job because I knew what was at stake: lives, homes, and the future of the places we love. But my story is not unique. Nationwide, thousands of federal workers who were illegally fired make the same sacrifices to get the job done. We have given our all. I have given my all, time and time again, for my country. Where is the justice in what is happening to civil servants nationwide? Now is the time for all Americans across every state and political party to speak up for the kind of country we want to be, the country I signed up to protect and serve, where we work towards liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to Senator Merkley and all of you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Michael and Senator Blumenthal. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Missel, a proud native of the great state of Connecticut and the former Inspector General for the Department of Veterans Affairs. On Friday night, January 24th, I was one of 17 Inspectors General who was fired. Inspector Generals have played a critical role to improve the government. Inspector Generals fight fraud, waste, and abuse, make efficiencies and effectiveness in the government, hold leaders accountable, and promote transparency. At VA, while I was the IG since 2016, we issued over 2,500 reports, made 10,000 recommendations on how to improve, and had a monetary impact of $45 billion. We made VA better for veterans and their families to make sure that they receive the benefits and services that they so richly deserve. And I thank the veterans who are here today. My concern is that by firing the inspectors general without proper notice and without giving the detailed case-specific reasons that the law requires, it's going to chill independent and nonpartisan oversight. And I worry about the impact it's going to have on our government. Thank you.
Lori here with Senator. They're running late. Okay, so we're on to Jamie, who I met with Senator Bennett.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie Werner, and I am here to represent the thousands of U.S. Forest Service employees who have been terminated in recent weeks for performance-based reasons. I'm also here to advocate for the importance of the continued stewardship and protection of America's treasured public lands. I got my start in public land management as a 19-year-old Forest Service firefighter in the great state of Oregon. I studied environmental science at Stanford University and have devoted my career to land management issues, recreation management, and the stewardship of our public lands. I recently took a job with the U.S. Forest Service to serve my community, to steward our essential treasured landscapes, and to serve the American people. But a huge reason why I wanted to join the Federal Civil Service is to stand alongside the incredible employees of the United States Forest Service, particularly at the White River National Forest in Colorado, where I was very, very proud to serve. When I was terminated from my position, I was called and told I was fired effective immediately on Sunday afternoon of President's Day weekend, and told it was for my performance. I, like others have mentioned, had an exemplary performance record, and I've spent the last few weeks talking with the many, many others who are in my shoes. This has wide-reaching effects on real, hardworking, dedicated Americans. They're not wasteful, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Some of my colleagues had recently moved across the country to take their dream job. One of them was a new parent who found out that they had been terminated shortly after returning from family leave. These are real faces that are being told that their work is not in the public interest and they are not doing a good job. Our federal employees, particularly those at the Forest Service, are some of the most dedicated, creative, passionate, intelligent people I know. And they continue to show up, particularly at the Forest Service, day after day, despite constant cuts in staffing and funding, to help our mountain communities in Colorado thrive. I'm also deeply concerned about the future of the beloved recreational experiences on our public lands. The White River National Forest is the most visited national forest in the country, home to treasured landscapes such as the Maroon Bells, Hanging Lake, and Trappers Lake. And what this comes down to me is the human experience. So many Coloradans use the natural world and our national forests to cope with the harsh realities of daily life. And what this comes down to is what memories are going to be lost if no one is there to steward that land. We are at a risk of losing a fundamental aspect of what makes America America, and those are our treasured public lands. So to all, not just the Forest Service employees, but to all the terminated civil servants out there, just know, I know a lot of you feel alone right now, and I think that's intentional. But your work is important, you are exemplary at doing it, and you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jason King. I live in Fairfax, Virginia. I served in the United States Army. While attached to 5th Special Forces Group, I ensured the transport of personnel, equipment, and supplies in and out of the country. After the Army, I was given the opportunity to continue serving my country with the FAA as the executive assistant to the Director of Safety himself. When 67 lives are claimed in a tragic event, such as the one that occurred recently near DCA, followed by reports of hundreds of layoffs at the FAA, it's not very reassuring for those who rely on us to keep them safe, which has led to many people questioning the safety of our airspace. However, in the wake of the recent events, our administration decided to move forward with the firing of hundreds of FAA employees, including myself. And I was actually considered an essential employee who was expected to report to work even in the event of a government shutdown. While the United States of America has the safest airspace in the world, that just doesn't come by chance. It's thanks to all of the hardworking and dedicated employees at the FAA. I would like to strongly encourage our administration to stop the cuts at the FAA to help rebuild the confidence back into the American people and to preserve an already struggling workforce. Cutting costs should never come at the expense of safety, especially when it comes to the system we all rely on. Thank you.
Our last guest, we'll give him a second here. done with this, some of the guests can talk to some of the reporters if you want to talk to them, but we're not doing a traditional Q&A. But I just want to remind everyone that these are the people that are going to be there tonight. These are guests of the senators that are going to be watching President Trump and that expect more of America. And with that, Lori, take over. Just tell, all you do is tell your story.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And a special shout out to Senator Duckworth. I'm honored to be your guest tonight. And this is the first time Head Start in our 60 years has ever been invited to do the State of the Union or joint address to Congress. So leave it to our Senator Duckworth for that. Thank you. So I am Lori Morrison-Frichtel, and I'm proud to serve as the Executive Director of the Illinois Head Start Association, where we support thousands of children and families across the great state of Illinois. Head Start, just so you know, Head Start provides a safe and nurturing environment where children can thrive. And it also empowers parents to pursue meaningful employment that allows them to support their families and contribute to our economy. And I think this is what makes the Head Start model so powerful, is that we work with both children and families together and not in isolation of each other. As you know, the recent disruptions in federal funding, however, has created a significant anxiety and stress among our parents, staff, and communities. During the funding freeze, we were unable to pull down funds to pay our workforce, to pay our bills, and we've had to lay staff off, and even prospective staff have been unwilling to join our team, our workforce, because they're afraid of not being paid. So staff have been let go. Children have not been able to access our classrooms because we haven't been able to hire staff. And some providers have closed their doors for a day or two to recover until they could get their federal funding. So here in Illinois, Head Start is committed to navigating these challenges and ensuring that the bureaucratic hurdles do not undermine the trust that our families, staff, and children place in our programs every day of every year. The work we do is critical, and I remain committed to working with Senator Duckworth to champion the rights of our children and families that they deserve. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to our incredible guests.